Good evening and welcome to Northbeat. I'm Alyssa Mosier. We begin tonight in Nunavut, where the hamlet of Pangertung has declared a state of emergency. In a news release, the hamlet says there is a complete loss of water service. Residents are advised to conserve water. The hamlet says it's working with the territorial and federal governments to restore service as quickly as possible. In the meantime, the hamlet is organizing emergency water distribution and will share information on water pickup locations. 1,500 people live in Pangertung. People in Cambridge Bay, Nunavut, are calling for improvements to municipal services there. Water, sewage, and garbage services can't keep up with the community's growing population, and the hamlet says it's waiting for funding to make improvements. Natalie Pressman reports.
Opak Bella Engolalik lives in Cambridge Bay. She says her home needs more frequent trucked water and sewer services to keep up with basic sanitation.
One of the things is really hard is flushing the toilet, especially when you have to do your thing and then this place really smells because they sit and sit.
Engolalik is one of many calling for improvements as the hamlet grows. Jim McEachern is Cambridge Bay's chief administrative officer. He says there's no question the hamlet is struggling to keep up. He says the community has had 4 sewage and 4 water trucks since 2010. But hundreds more people now live in Cambridge Bay. He says the hamlet needs a garage for cold weather storage before it can think about buying more trucks.
We can buy the trucks, we can hire staff. The primary issue is without extra parking garages. We have nowhere to park the vehicles, so we can't just purchase them and have them sit out in the elements all winter.
The Nunavut government has approved funding to build a new garage, but he says they're in a queue with other projects waiting for funding across the territory. The Nunavut government did not respond to CBC's questions about when the funding for the garage might arrive. Natalie Pressman, CBC News, Yellowknife.
We are taking you now to a story in Fort Smith where an RCMP emergency response team has been deployed. That's in Fort Smith, Northwest Territories. Police say they're trying to bring a person into custody. An eyewitness reported seeing police outside a home in the town for several hours last night. And that earlier today, police in SWAT gear shot rubber bullets at the windows and flew a drone inside. Fort Smith's mayor says part of the operation has ended, but police say it's not over yet.
With the extra resources in our community, give them their space. Don't be, going and taking pictures and posting it in a live operation. Let them get the job done because they're here to keep our community safe, and we want to let them do their jobs.
The RCMP say there is no immediate risk to the public. Details of the individual and why they are seeking that person haven't been shared. Staying in the Northwest Territories, where a construction company says it's out thousands after its equipment was vandalized while removing an illegal barricade in the Decho region. Avery Zingle has the details.
On Monday, workers for Noga Enterprises found their equipment vandalized at Lindbergh Landing in the Northwest Territories. Lindbergh Landing is just off the highway between Fort Simpson and Fort Liard. Workers were there to remove remaining posts from a gate that was illegally installed across a public access road. The territorial government asked RCMP to be there during the work. Police left the area as workers completed a final task. The workers stepped away from their equipment for less than an hour, and in that time, someone drilled through all 22 tires of a heavy-duty tractor trailer and smashed every window, causing an estimated $50,000 in damage. Noga's chief operating officer says all of this left his staff shaken.
It's going to add up to be a fairly significant loss from vandalism. It's disruptive to a company, it upsets people, and it's just not needed.
Last month, a court ordered the removal of the gate and all posted signs and cameras. In a dispute between the GNWT and a leaseholder they say is responsible for the illegally installed gate. The Northwest Territories government hired Noga to remove the remaining posts. The work is finished, but now their excavator is stranded at Lindbergh. And Gordon says this delays their work on other contracts. Police have not laid any charges. They say an investigation is underway, but they said the Northwest Territories Environment Department is the lead investigator. Decho First Nations leaders like Herb Norwegian say this marks an escalation of broader problems at Lindbergh.
It's really freaky. It's really bothering the chief and the people that are around here, and so it's escalating. And again, we are saying to government that you guys got to deal with this damn thing here, and our people are continuously being harassed, and we're furious.
Norwegian says Decho members are being prevented from exercising their treaty rights. He wants the territorial government to cancel the leases of individuals he says cause problems for his members. The Environment Department declined to answer CBC's questions about their investigation and whether it has suspects. Avery Zingle, CBC News, Yellowknife.
There is a building in downtown Yellowknife with 72 brand new apartments, but no one will be living in them for the foreseeable future. The building needs a new fire hydrant vault. The developer can't afford it, and the city refuses to contribute funding. Sarah St. Pierre has that story.
From an office building to apartments, the Nest building in downtown Yellowknife has been renovated. But the developer has run out of money for a fire hydrant it didn't realize it needed to build until after locking in financing. They've asked the city to share the cost, even if it means giving public funds to a private developer.
If I think it's going to put more housing units available in Yellowknife, I would say yes to that. And I think a lot of other people in Yellowknife would too, especially in this case where you're talking about city-owned infrastructure that's going to benefit more than the individual developer.
Here's how we got here. Borealis, the developer, saw their development as an existing building, but the city said, no, the use has changed too much from office to residential. This is like a new build, so it needs a hydrant vault. But building that would cost the developer $750,000, and Borealis says they can't get more financing. City Council decided it's not on the city to intervene. It doesn't want to set a precedent of bailing out developers when the city isn't at fault.
My questions and my concerns are nothing to do with the need for housing. It is public money you're asking for, almost 2 full percentage points of a city budget, so it's not an insignificant ask.
Now, Council's decision could discourage future development downtown. That's what one commercial broker in town thinks. He says it's not fair for developers to pay for public infrastructure.
Any smaller private developer would be shocked to understand that they are expected to make this investment, and then whoever comes along next door to them and develops a couple years down the road won't have to incur any cost whatsoever.
It's not clear yet what this all means for the future of the building, but even if the developer finds the money, it won't be able to break ground on the hydrant until the spring. So it's unlikely anyone's moving into those empty apartments anytime soon. Sarah St. Pierre, CBC News, Yellowknife.
Some Yukoners say electricity rates are spiraling out of control. The Yukon Utilities Board recently approved Yukon Energy's application to increase some electricity rates. That included a 10% increase on July 1st and another 10% this coming January. Some people in Whitehorse say electricity is too expensive, and that's compounding the already high cost of living.
And it scares. It scares a lot. On top of everything's going up with the rent, electricity, all the food, and our wages never move. So what's wrong there?
Given what I've seen so far and the amount of electric heat around here, I think that it's ridiculous and that they should definitely be subsidizing the heating for this locale.
It's a new house for me. This is my first year of ownership, and my costs have gone up significantly.
What do you think about that? What's your take?
I just want them to give me a justification of what they're doing, and are your profits down? Is that why your prices increased? Or your profits also shooting up along with the price increase? Because then it's not fair.
The Yukon Utilities Board has yet to greenlight a general rate application. That's a proposed 34% increase to rates over 3 years. A hamlet in the Northwest Territories went without internet and cell service for 3 days this week. The exact cause for the disruption remains unclear. According to Northwest Tel, the company became aware of a service disruption Sunday and restored it on Wednesday. It would not say what specifically caused the disruption, other than it was a complex situation. For one tourist operator in the community, it meant going days without any business.
It's very frustrating, you're watching the days go by and the ice is coming, and then your tours are going to have to shut down for the winter. And then I start my winter tours, but then that's a month and a half to 2 month wait before the ice is thick enough, safe enough to take tours on.
Kivik says the outage came as a shock to him and estimates he could have lost about $5,000 in potential tours. Northwest Tel says the company expects the territorial government's fibre line from Inuvik to Tuktoyaktuk to be complete in the coming days, and that Northwest Tel's services to the community of Tuktoyaktuk will be upgraded. In Nunavut, a polar bear was shot after it made its way into Ofriat earlier this week. It happened on Monday, just after midnight. One resident says the bear put its paw around one of her dogs. Polar bears have made their way into Ofriat before, and she's warning Nunavummiut to stay aware.
You never know what a polar bear can do, and they are so fast in their actions. Be alert. Don't go for a walk in the fall time or whatever the months of the year they show up in your community. Know where your children are.
Kablutsiak says people should have a firearm at home just in case.
The future is everything. Stories of incredible ingenuity, dedication, and some extraordinary teamwork. This is parenthood.
Take a voyage with me to the vast, remote, most extreme place on Earth.
For many, this will be a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
Where the effects of climate change are intensifying.
The poles are a very rapidly changing place.
And geopolitical cracks threaten peace and stability.
Do you think there's a security concern?
I definitely do.
Experience the historic all-Canadian mission. CBC in Antarctica. Watch free on CBC Gem.
It makes sense that they get a larger share, or does it?
Welcome to the Greenbelt.
All of this, just single detached homes?
Yes.
What do we know? I think we can explain.
About that with Andrew Chang.
Although the NBA currently is flooded with Canadian players, this was not a reality.
A new immigration law.
This story, it's directly tied to all of those families who made a brave choice to come to this country.
The president of CBC says she wants to know what northern communities need and expect from their public broadcaster. Marie-Philippe Bouchard has been the president and CEO of CBC since January. She was in Iqaluit on Monday and in Yellowknife today. Bouchard says in Iqaluit, community leaders told her about the importance of preserving Inuktitut. In the Northwest Territories, CBC broadcasts in 6 Indigenous languages with positions that are increasingly hard to fill. Bouchard says the CBC needs to partner with other organizations or schools that want to preserve the languages too.
So support for, the maintenance of the vocabulary, the grammar, these are all evolving. They're different from location to location. There's all sorts of dialects. It's a very complex sort of situation. I'm very sensitive to that. I'm a Francophone. I understand the threat to language in a minority situation, and I know that I don't even begin to understand how our Indigenous communities feel about preserving their language, because they are so much more in need of support.
Prime Minister Mark Carney had promised to increase CBC funding by $150 million, but the CBC has also been asked to undergo an exercise of cutting 15% of its budget. Bouchard says she is waiting to see what will come out of the federal budget in November. The president of Qikiqtaaluk Corporation says it will lead the development of a new seaport in Qikiqtarjuaq, Nunavut when its second phase of construction begins. Qikiqtaaluk Corporation and the Qikiqtani Inuit Association are taking over the project from the Nunavut government. The seaport has been more than a decade in the making.
Like I said, we just signed an agreement to transfer the files until we have an opportunity to review what really is contained in the preliminary work that has been done by the government of Nunavut and engineering design that has been done by the community of Nunavut, and also the content of the community consultation that has been held over the years by the Nunavut government. So until we get those documents, we will be able to sit down to do an overall analysis of what's the next step in order to get this project started.
Qikiqtaaluk Corporation is awaiting design plans before construction can begin. Flaherty says construction was estimated to start by 2027. The government of Nunavut did not respond to questions. Over the past year, the Yukon government has expanded services meant to prevent people dying from toxic drugs. That includes increasing harm reduction and managed alcohol programs, plus on-the-land healing and Indigenous-led supports. The government says it's also increased counseling and mobile crisis response. The government released a report earlier this month highlighting its work and says it's a complex issue that will take a long time to resolve.
I do just want to acknowledge that, these are all individuals with families and friends and communities that love them. And we do take this very seriously, and everyone working on it holds these individuals very deeply, and it means a lot to be working on this.
Between January and August, 16 people in Yukon have died from using toxic drugs. That's twice as many as this time last year. The Yukon government declared a substance use emergency in 2022. In Nunavut, the hamlet of Igloolik is now providing counseling sessions with elders. It's an initiative organized by the community's wellness worker. A funding request to start the program was initially denied, but was successful on the second attempt. Counseling sessions will be held every Wednesday evening at the community hall. The community wellness coordinator says she's excited about the program.
I wanted the community to get help for people that have no one to talk to, people who don't have an elder to talk to. We have 7 elders they can talk with. That is our goal.
Ilupelik says the funding also allows her to rent space and hire a bus to shuttle elders around town. The Canadian Union of Postal Workers says it's on strike effective immediately. It comes in response to the government ordering Canada Post to consider bringing major changes to ensure its survival. Ashley Burke has the announcement that's triggering outrage and anger from the union.
For over a century, Canada Post has delivered mail to some people's doors. But the government says it's now time to phase that out.
What this announcement is about saving Canada Post.
The minister responsible says Canada Post is facing an existential crisis. Canadians are turning to competitors to deliver their packages and aren't sending as many letters. The Crown Corporation now effectively insolvent, and Joel Lightbound says Ottawa can't keep bailing it out.
We can't go on with Canada Post losing $10 million a day and Canadian taxpayers footing the bill.
So he's directing Canada Post to end home delivery for the 1/4 of Canadians who still get it. That means moving 4 million addresses over to community mailboxes over the next 9 years.
I'd rather have my mail delivered at my house because I don't have to walk.
Mail should be mailed. You have your box in your house, done.
I would be fine with it for us, but I worry about the people that aren't capable.
Seniors and people with mobility issues can apply to keep the service. The government also recommends Canada Post move non-urgent mail by land, not air. That means letters will arrive within a week instead of 3 to 4 days. The government's also lifting a 30-year moratorium protecting rural post offices and asking Canada Post to determine how many are actually still in rural areas.
I'm asking the corporation to come back with a plan that will clearly, make sure that rural, remote, Indigenous communities are not impacted.
Past governments faced anger and political blowback over community mailboxes, but public opinion over the past decade has changed.
Those who have already checked out or found other ways to receive communication and parcels, it's going to have less impact on them. But for those who really care and really rely on it, particularly in rural communities, particularly for those who really say that this is something that they want or need, I would expect there will be some blowback.
The government says Canada Post has 45 days to come up with a plan that details how it will move forward. The Postal Service says it welcomes Ottawa's move so it can better serve Canadians. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
New polling data presents an unenthusiastic opinion about the temporary foreign workers program. It was meant to help employers fill labor shortages, but the majority of Canadians surveyed felt it has negatively affected the labor and housing markets. The CBC's Linda Ward has more.
In an online survey, Angus Reid asked 1,500 adults how they view the temporary foreign worker program. And what they found is that more than half have a negative view of the program. And out of those who view it negatively, 55% believe the problem is that too many foreign workers are coming into Canada. And when we look at Quebec, for example, they rely heavily on the temporary foreign worker program for their agriculture sector. 37% say the numbers are too high. Ontario, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, that goes up to 60%. And most critical was Alberta at 72%. Now, 69% of those polled felt that this program was good for businesses. As for the impact on the economy and prices here in Canada, people were split, but most felt it has a negative effect on the housing market, the labor market, and specifically the labor market for young people. However, more than half say that they believe the government exploits temporary foreign workers. When we look back at 2023, the United Nations issued a report saying that this program was akin to a contemporary form of slavery. The government disputes that and over the years has tried to make a number of changes to the program, bringing down the number of permits that have been issued. But that number has crept back up and then skyrocketed during the COVID-19 pandemic. This government has promised to reduce the number of permits this year. Between January and June, they say 33,000 new permits have been issued. Compare that to the same period last year when that number was 125,000. The Conservative Party supporters and voters are more likely to be critical of this program. 7 in 10 say that they viewed it negatively. Compare that to 39% for Liberal voters. But regardless of where people sat on the political spectrum, most Canadians believe there's room for improvement. Linda Ward, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, berry picking season is in full swing across many parts of the north, including in Yukon. And as folks collect blueberries, cranberries, and rose hips from their secret spots, they might be wondering what to do with their harvest. One avid berry picker in Yukon says there are a lot of simple recipes.
One of them is just a very simple, very basic cranberry sauce. There's nothing in it except cranberries and white sugar that have been cooked down for probably about 30 minutes until it's a good texture for spreading and for putting on the table in a nice bowl for Thanksgiving dinner.
Berry picking season in the Yukon is expected to last for the next couple of weeks or until the snow falls. A new documentary from CBC Kids News is now out. It follows 6 teens from Ulukhaktok, Northwest Territories. They share how they felt disconnected from their Inuvialuit roots, until they went on a journey to connect with their past.
So this is an art piece that was carved by my great-grandpa, Jimmy Mimogana.
Packing up for tomorrow's airplane ride.
Now, with airport waiting.
Welcome to Ottawa.
We're kind of lost most of our tradition.
Even being so far away from home, you are still Inuit. You are still yourself.
It feels I don't know how it feels. Like I want to take it home. Yeah.
The documentary there called Returning to Ulukhaktok. You can watch it now on the CBC Kids News website. So just head to cbckidsnews.ca and follow the links. Well, that is Northbeat for tonight. For news anytime, though, you can check out our website, cbc.ca/north. I'm Alyssa Mosier. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good night.